We'd like to welcome you to the Doni Glover Show. Today's guest is the one and only, the incomparable, the inimitable Billie Murphy, Esquire. Just stay tuned.
Doni Glover Show, BMoreNews. BMoreNews.
I'd like to welcome you back to the Doni Glover Show. Mr. Murphy, how are you? Welcome back.
I can't complain, brother.
You're the best repeat guest that we've had.
Well, that's very nice. I hope I can be consistent about that.
You are. We've got a black governor. Let's back up. I've got a picture of you at a Barack Obama event. I think it was a fundraiser of some sort. But anyway, Westmore, Barack Obama, we've got a black mayor, we've got the largest black caucus in the country.
Black state's attorney.
Black state's attorney, black attorney general.
Yep.
What do we do with all of this? I mean, first of all, how is that progress?
Well, progress depends on what leadership does and gets accomplished and wants to get accomplished. If leadership is not aligned with an agenda that is designed to help us get out of this mess we've been in for forever, then it's not going to be effective. Now, so far, so good.
Was Judge Joe Howard, he was the first citywide elected judge in Baltimore.
One of the first. I think there was a white guy that might have gotten over that hump ages ago. But in modern political history, yes.
He was a leader?
Tremendous leader, led by example, and he also led by discreetly making sure that everyone was on board with our highest level of thinking. He was great for doing that, and that's a component of leadership. Coming up with the best ideas we can, not anybody's idea in particular, and not arguing to keep an idea that is not the best idea. The best idea should always win.
I see people running for office. The election is next year, the primary. People I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. And I so want to tell them, dude, you should have started 10 years ago. We don't know you. Who are you?
Well, a lot of that comes from lack of community activity and organization. When I was coming up, a prerequisite of being a citywide leader was a neighborhood leader. And the prerequisite for being a neighborhood leader was somebody that helped unorganized or poorly organized communities to develop their own leadership ability and style and consistency, so that you could walk away and organize another group of people while leaving this one over here, the one that you previously organized, to run itself. And that's how we were trained. My mother and father trained me to do that. That was the way that Saul Alinsky, a great theoretical organizer who was an inspiration to all of us, that was his teaching style.
This was Walter's father?
No, Saul Alinsky.
Oh, Alinsky.
Yes. Very, very famous leader in how to organize people, not just black people.
What group was he with? Was he with Bill?
No, he wasn't a local leader.
Okay.
He was a national leader.
National.
And in many ways, an international authority on organizing people effectively.
Okay, so where are we? And you're the elder. I'm asking you because I want to know who to help. Who seems like, what qualities does a leader need for Baltimore?
Well, let's talk about leadership in general. Leaders have to be open-minded, and they have to be strong enough to do the right thing. And in the case of black leaders, not the white thing. Now, that's not a knock on some of the ideas that white folks have that are great ideas. But when you're dealing with the black agenda, you can't dilute it by Uncle Tommen or, bowing down and stuff like that, because that's gonna lead us in the wrong direction. And so black leadership has to have a direction. It has to be consistent with what we need to do, what we need to have, what power we need to acquire, how we're going to motivate our people to optimum performance politically. There are all kinds of components to it. And different leaders take a different slice of that pie and hopefully do it well, so that it starts to work in a harmonic way, so that we don't have unnecessary arguments, jealousies, player hating, you name it, things that have kept us down. Our vulnerability to being divided, our vulnerability to petty quarrels, our vulnerability to the things that the slave master and the leaders of capitalism did deliberately to cause us to be divided. Dividing people who have the same interests, so that you as a capitalist leader or a political leader can profit from that, like a certain president we've gotten to know pretty well, is a way to stay in power. Now let's look at today's working people. Black people and other working people have so much in common with each other. Why are we so divided? Because that works for the masters of power, because they can manipulate us simply by dividing us and causing us to quarrel among ourselves constantly. That's the history of racism in America. That's the history of classism in America. It's the history of every movement in America. It is subject to being divided by people who don't have the information and the homework, the foundation in that information. And so you see it all over the internet now. You see it all over social media. We're so easy to be divided. That's why the Russians, who, when they want a certain president to win, they know how to divide us, cause these fake arguments to develop between us so that we lose our way. Look, white working class people, when they are branded simply as racist, cause us to recoil in horror against them. Well, that's a deliberate thing. Let me give you an example. When Henry Ford started building cars, he did not want a union. And so he hired a three-part workforce. He hired white Americans who'd been here several generations. He hired new immigrant whites, and then he hired black people. Now, he packaged it in a way where black people were told, you're going to get these great jobs working in Detroit for a major automobile manufacturer, and that helped the migration from the South to take place. But the reality was that if they organized it, let's say they in the paint shop, and the fumes are killing them, because there were no regulations back then, and they want to do something about getting rid of the toxic chemicals that Ford painted its cars. Here's what the division was. Murphy, I hear you've been saying the word, and it's not going to be tolerated. And by the way, Jones over there, who's an immigrant, he's been calling you, and he's been doing this, that, and the other. And then he would go to each one of these groups individually and say things that would divide them. And so they never got a union until the Great Depression. And that tactic is so effective politically that Donald Trump, for example, is using it all the time. He's
a master of it.
Yes, he's a master of it, and we fall for it. We fall for it. Democratic Party fell for it. The last Democrat to reach out successfully to working class people was probably Joe Biden, but he had deficiencies in other areas. But it was Barack Obama who led us back to caring about working class white people who were having the same problems we have. Now, they don't have race problems as much as they have class problems. They have immigration problems. They have religious issues. And so all of these issues are being used to keep us from having coalitions with white folks who are in the same basic condition that we're in, or Latinos who are in the same basic situation we're in, or women divided among themselves and with men. And it's working because nobody teaches, as a part of leadership training, that we need coalitions in order to get power.
I want you to hold that thought. You were listening and talking with the one and only Billie Murphy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for part 2.
We're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
Soul Circus Rhythm of the World Tour.
The most electrifying cultural experience of a lifetime is going on now. Rhythm.
Come and see some of the most exciting acts in the world under our brand new air-conditioned Big Top.
Oh, you don't just watch this show. You feel it. You live it. And if you miss it, you miss out.
It's the Rhythm of the World Tour. Tickets at universalsoulcircus.com.
I'd like to welcome you back to the Doni Glover Show. We're at Murphy, Falcon and Murphy. What was it, 110?
1 South Street.
1 South Street.
30th floor penthouse.
I love it.
Big windows, great view of the city. Something I've always wanted to bring to black people as part of our service. And look at us now.
Your dad will be proud.
Well, he was proud before he died.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because he thought I was going to be a failure.
How you gonna go to MIT and be a failure? You went to MIT, didn't like being an engineer. You saw that trajectory not quite as you imagined.
I talked back to my father at will, and he didn't like it. And he said, I would say, why do you want me to do that? That doesn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. Because I said so. And you know,
that was that generation.
Yeah, that's correct. But it's also maddening when a child, and see, I produced my own set of children. It's also maddening when you have a child like that. So you gotta.
Which one?
Well, I'm not gonna name.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I saw you come to Poly in 70.
No. 60s.
No, Rebecca.
Oh yeah.
You came and sat with her in the cafeteria. You don't remember that.
Well, I remember.
I'll never forget that. One, parents didn't come. I tried that with my daughter. She's like, no, don't even try it, when she went to Poly. But you sat with your daughter. Mm-hmm. And years later, I can only imagine how significant that was.
Well, my father and mother had a different approach. They trained me to deal with situations that would arise in the early days of integrated school. That was part of our training on a daily basis. It was a part of our training in public schools, because black teachers who loved us dearly and respected our intelligence wanted us to do really well when we were among the first to integrate white schools. And they prepared us in such a rigorous and repetitive way that most of us blossomed in that environment.
You went to Poly?
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember the quadratic equation?
Well, there are a lot of
I had to try.
quadratic.
I had to try.
There are a lot of quadratic equations.
I had to try. Leadership today. If they are watching, if today's leaders, mayors, governors, presidents, judges are watching right now, what can we hope to tell our young people about leaders?
Pay attention to the older generations of successful or partially successful leaders. You can learn a lot from them. Look, if I hadn't learned from my mother and father about leadership, I'd had to reinvent the wheel. And wheel's been around a long time. That would have been a waste of time. If I hadn't had the mentors that I had, and I aggressively sought them. You know, I went outside. I want him to mentor me. I want him to mentor me. And I made that happen. Now, I had a head start because my family was a respected name out there. But anybody can do that. People have done it to me. They've just been aggressive enough to get to me and say, will you mentor me? Well, that's my style. I like it when I receive that. I like to do it with people who have the knowledge. And I try to teach people, man, if you want to talk to somebody important, pick up the phone and call them. Don't come up with some concocted reason that they're not going to talk to you. If you're polite and persistent, not obnoxious and unpersuasive, but polite and persistent and you've done your homework to know how to get that person to want to talk to you, it works on everybody. Look, I remember when I wanted to put on a program called Representing the Black Defendant back in 1973 and have the best faculty ever in such a seminar. I had a hit list of the people I wanted, and I made sure I got them. I picked up the phone. They didn't know me. They know me from Adam.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's correct. That's correct. And I told him I was a black man. And I told him that I wanted this program to be educational to black people. And see, people, we scared to do that with white folks.
You're not scared.
Well,
and I remember when we had Bob Ehrlich there. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was the beginning of a new day. But you taught me one thing, don't change. Whether it's Bob Ehrlich, Paris Glendenning, Michael Steele, whomever, don't change. I watched you.
Well, what I think you're getting at is that don't try to be phony and put on a different personality and come up acting differently for everybody. No. Be consistently the best you can be, no matter who you're dealing with. And don't be afraid to interact. And that's not just a black thing. There are a lot of white people that got to be taught how to interact and stop being afraid of having a conversation with somebody you view as your opponent. If you are not talking to people that you view as your opponent, you won't build connective tissue. It may happen automatically, but I believe in talking to my enemies about sports, about their families, about things that are fundamental to human existence. Let's see if we can get that part going. And if we can get that part going, I can then weave into the conversation my objective with you. And I would do that with judges, for example. These people are so important to my clients. I don't want to be a stranger. And so I assiduously cultivated members of the bench.
Assiduously?
Yes. And it worked. It worked. I didn't want to be a stranger coming into the courtroom if I could be somebody that they respected and trusted and who they had gotten to know. And I didn't mind them saying, I had Billie Murphy, man, he surprised me. I thought he was this, that, and the other, but man, I really like the guy. That's what getting close to people causes. It causes connective tissue if both participants are interested in getting to know each other. You can stimulate that interest. There are books written on this stuff. But leaders of today don't seem to be reading those books. They don't seem to be learning from those of us who mastered that art, how to talk to folks. And stop bowing your head when you're around white folks. And stop whispering the word white. You know, come on. We got to be more courageous than that because our agenda requires us to be more courageous than that.
Like Ibrahim Traore over in Burkina Faso. But we'll bring him up on the next show. Want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for having us. Thank you for supporting BMoreNews.com.
Hey, man, I'm always going to support you and people like you. You set an example for people. And that's wonderful. You show what a person of color ought to be doing and can do. That's why I'm a big fan of yours.
And likewise.
That will never stop. But when I'm wrong, when you think I'm wrong, get in my butt, man. Correct me. Because correcting somebody ought to be received by the person being corrected as a wonderful opportunity to get rid of a bad idea that they may not have known was bad, and somebody's pointed out, stop doing that, stop saying that. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? It makes you think about getting better if you're in the right frame of mind. And the right frame of mind is to always be improving in every way you possibly can. Always be studying, always be looking at your game in a way that makes you an all-star rather than also-ran, you know, instead of being a bench warmer. And by the way, shout out to all those black brothers who are doing things right by having excellent role models. For example, the neighborhood basketball players. They out-role model anybody because their role models are the greatest players of all time. But we don't do that. We don't do it in law. We don't do it in medicine. We may do it in the sciences because there the pecking order is obvious, and you know, scientists are rigorous thinkers. They will always want to be logical, always want to get the right answer. So they are separate and apart. I've never known an Uncle Tom STEM student. You know, if you've mastered mathematics,
no room for Tom in there.
Look. Science has right answers and wrong answers. And so you don't have to have some white man judging you if you consistently get the right answers. The answers speak for themselves. But where there's discretion and you have a white man evaluating you, oh, they can put their thumb on the scale. They can, you know, come up with all kind of stuff. So the math and science students, they over that. They don't need to be validated by white people. They validated by their test scores. And their test scores come from them. And they have competed successfully in the leadership arena because that's what testing is all about. And we have to be competitive. We have to be competitive. We complain so much sometimes. And you know who I'm talking about, that white man won't give us this and white man won't give us that. Create it yourself. Go to some people who are going to help you. Figure out who they are. Stop complaining about what people won't do for you and start making sure it gets done by whatever means is necessary, as long as it's ethical, as long as it's, you know, lawful, as long as it's morally right. And so you got a lot of running room to improve your game. And if first it doesn't succeed, try again. Because the man who will not be stopped always succeeds. And that's my motto. You're not going to stop me. If it's something that needs to be done, I have the capability of doing it. You're not going to stop me from getting it done.
Like Steph Curry?
That's correct. And so I hire people who have that attitude. I hire people who are winners, not losers. I hire people who don't whine and instead shine. You know, self-motivated people who want to get it right all the time, but who are open-minded enough to be corrected. And again, it's an honor. It should be something joyous when you get corrected about a major mistake that you're making of thought. Love it instead of looking at the person, he ain't all that, and who he think he is, all that kind of dumb stuff. Be grateful for being challenged. Be grateful for learning what your mistakes have been. And try to make as few mistakes as possible, but not out of fear, but out of the respect for your own mind, your own brain, your own place in this world. Last but not least, we're all geniuses, but life de-geniuses us. We have this beautiful device between our ears called the brain. And a normal brain is a genius device. Do we live up to its genius? No. We take in pollution of thought, whether it be from racism or classism or, being called names or somebody's always discouraging us instead of motivating us. We take all this mental pollution that diminishes what our brain can do. Because the brain does what it's told to do in addition to what it does automatically. And if you tell your brain you're going to solve that problem, that brain figures out how to solve the problem. But if you tell the brain, I don't know whether I can solve that, then you got two messages. You're going to try, which is a symbol of failure if that's all you ended up doing. Or you're going to sit, or you're not going to use your brain correctly. To use your brain correctly, tell it to solve the problem and get out of its way.
The one and only Billie Murphy. We got to run.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Stay tuned.
It's the Universal Circus Rhythm of the World Tour.
The most electrifying cultural experience of a lifetime is going on now. Rhythm.
Come and see some of the most exciting acts in the world under our brand new air-conditioned Big Top.
Oh, you don't just watch this show, you feel it, you live it. And if you miss it, you miss out.
It's the Rhythm of the World Tour. Tickets at universalcircus.com.
At Fulton Bank, we're personally invested in every community we serve. So sometimes we're big in small ways, like finding a way to get Crystal and Dan a mortgage before the baby arrived. Other times we're small in big ways, like local decision-making and financial coaching that helped Fernando open his own shop. Fulton Bank, a community bank that's big and small in all the right ways.
Doni Glover Show, BMoreNews.